Hello, hello. Okay, sorry about the slow start. I was typing something. Only kind of sort of. Thanks for subbing. I don't think I've ever seen you type here before. Not that you have to, but I appreciate it. And Galaxy Inferno, hello, hello. Yeah, so today is Polish Day, which I think we should eventually just rename to Sucky Tasks Day so that people don't keep making the Polish joke. But yeah, Adam is going to focus on polish level tasks and I guess cleanup level tasks today. He wants to devote at least one stream per week to this kind of work so that he's not doing all of it at the end. Yeah. Hello there. Countdown to lack of internet. All right, so I started by trying to tackle a bug. I actually was testing this out yesterday, this loot boxes game, on stream, so it's not like this is new, but it's pretty good. I did something off stream afterward. I don't remember what exactly. Oh, I worked on that feature where the treasure spirit will tell you when items are priced too low. In fact, let me show that off. In order to get this to work, I need to... Actually, I should be able to do this. And if I do this enough times, it should happen. Oh, wait, no. I gotta open a treasure chest and then set the price. There we go. Now it'll work. There. So this is the new feature here. The item in red is priced way too low. So you now go over to this item. And by the way, if we got any more of those items, it would also show up in red. That might be too hard to show off. Let's try that. Yeah, okay. So there's another one over there. While it's red, customers can't buy it. Yeah, they're only those two. Customers can't buy it, and you can change the price. If I change this to 2, for example, it'll still be red. So you can kind of use this to figure out like what is the halfway point for this item. Most people, they won't know that rule, but also they won't want to spend the time figuring that out. So like I can change this by 10. Okay, so 50 did it. So we know the price is at least 75, I guess. Or 71, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, we could figure it out. So now we speed this up. Someone should come buy it. Yeah, and not raise a fuss about it. So that'll happen once every so often. And that way you don't just get happy with the prices that you have there. You'll eventually make the amount of money you should make. Yeah. Hey, ABC. Hey, Faceless. I know. Hey, only kind of, sort of. Hey, cleanup day. Sounds a bit negative, unless that's what you're going for. It kind of is what I'm going for. Like, it sets the tone correctly for, hey, I'm probably not going to enjoy these. All right, so what do we have here? Animation change, frame changed. I don't think we need to do this. Well, I don't love it. And there's one other thing that calls this. Sprite frames changed. Okay. I'm surprised it's not the same as frame change. And then eventually this all gets cleaned up. Oh, view counts I don't care too much about. I just... There are these thoughts every once in a while of like, hey, what joke do you get in your profession all the time? And cashiers will say something like, oh, this item didn't ring up correctly, so it must be free, right? It's like, all right, you hear that once or twice, it's kind of cute, it's funny, and then you hear it 100 times and you're like, I'm sick of this. And you hear it 200 times, it starts bothering you. Then eventually it works back around you being fine with it. This is mostly to avoid the Polish jokes. Because you can't type the word polish on Twitch without people saying that. Hey, Chili. All right, well, let's check this in. So fix bug with treasure spirit outline. When the treasure spirit blinked, their entire sprite would disappear due to the interaction shader. This now causes the shader to be updated anytime the frame changes. I think it's a bit heavy-handed, but at least for the loot boxes game, it should be fine. We didn't have this issue in Skeleseller, right? Maybe you never outlined an animated thing. No, you did. You had NPCs that you could outline. In fact, literally the treasure spirit was one of them. Yeah, if I just load up the game and we get grant most things, treasure room. If I just hover over this for long enough. Trying to watch it blink. Okay, yeah, it's totally fine. It's not animated, but it's okay. Cut the giant tree in front of the apartment. Give shade, beauty, nice wind noises. Why they do that? Because every once in a while there could be like some structural integrity problem with roots going underneath the foundation. I don't know if that's why they did it. They're just like, we hate trees. The We Hate Trees Coalition came by. Someone complained about their yard, probably. Yeah, I don't know what usually prompts this sort of thing, but it could have been a danger. It could have been some other problem. Maybe it was rotted or something. That's at least better to me in my mind than just someone complained. All right, so yeah, this wasn't needed for Skeleseller. That means it shouldn't really be needed for here. Makes me think there's a problem with the shader. Oh, we pass in the texture size. The texture size, though, is the same, right? Texture region? Yeah, I guess it's to work around this issue. In Skeleseller, this exact interaction was totally fine, but it's because we didn't try working around this. Well, maybe it's because. Yeah. All right, there. So I think the kinds of things we should do is focus on cleanup tasks like this stuff, like add in sound effects, whatever else. In fact, yeah, let's do that. This is why this is sucky tasks day, because this stuff is really not that fun. And also why I think it's worth doing on a half day. Hey, Pickle. So that I'm not like bored to tears doing this. All right, let's hear what does not have sounds. So opening a treasure chest. All right, opening a chest. That's all fine, I'd say. Customers buying item. Upgrading a perk. So has no sound, needs different sound. Buying items. Maybe customer disliking the price. Hey, Magnus. Happy 7th. I think that's it. Is there anything else? No, that's probably it. Huh, that's actually not as bad as I thought. And I don't like that this makes a sound. I don't remember what this sounded like in Skeleseller. I don't know if there was a sound. Well, let's listen. Oh, it's the same music. Yeah. It made that sound. The perk board did not make a sound when you interacted with it. Has wrong sound. Interacting with the treasure spirit. It makes the sound of focusing a button. That's right, Magnus. Anything else? I think that's probably it. We had a bunch of, if you listen closely. Wait, no, it doesn't show here. When you hover over something in the world, it makes like a hi-hat sound. I don't think we need the equivalent in the new game. Yeah. I was thinking about that too, Magnus. The metallic clink sound indicating you can't open it yet. Yeah, so all of these. All right, opening a chest. Let's go pull all these things from Skeleseller. Sound ID. Whoops. Sound ID. Chest. Opened treasure chest. When the chest spews loot, and when you click the chest. All right, how about this? I'm going to tell AI to do this stuff. I want to see if it does a good job, because this is really tedious. I don't like doing this. All right, so I want to take some, or I want to improve sound effects in the loot boxes game. So take open treasure chest and opened treasure chest from here. Oh, hey, doesn't my quota, it literally just reset, right? Yeah. So we have 100% usage remaining for the week. All right. Because I was going to say, if I had started the stream like 20 minutes ago, we could have had a couple more queries on the old week. It's fine. I don't care that much. And play them at the appropriate times. Read the comments next to them to figure out when and trace which sound data they belong to figure out which files to copy over. Then make sure the files aren't already part of SIBT. If only you could feed Abby tokens. Just buy one source of food for everything. So opening a chest, we are now working on. Customer buying an item. Where's that? Oops. Purchase, buy, sale, item sale. Take this from, I guess for all sounds below, if files are being copied from Skeleseller, make sure they don't already exist in SIBT's folders. If they do, use the existing files. All right, take item sale. And play it when a customer buys an item. All right, so that one should be done too. Customer disliking a price. As Codex, if it accepts cat treats. What if it's a cat spirit underneath? It's fueled by cats. It's just like how those Amazon Go stores are fueled by other people and not cameras. So we need to find a sound effect for a customer not liking an item. Wait, whoops. What's going on here? Are these button targets off? Maybe they aren't. Maybe it's just me. It's gotta be a very short sound. Those are all too long. What do these sound like? Nah, none of these. Probably one of these would be best. Yeah, one of these. Overly long sound effect each time would be kind of funny. I think it would be if it was for a short amount of time that you heard that sound effect. But if you're playing this game for like 20 minutes and you keep hearing it, it just seems amateurish. Oh yeah, one of these is pretty good. We just got to find out which one. Or what about these? This is what we should play when you can't open a treasure chest. When attempting to open a treasure chest that still has its meter filling up, play this. No, really, Magnus? I didn't know about that. Probability for an item that drops to make a very loud noise, 100% sound effect. I didn't know about that either, huh? The duck one, I'm not as surprised I didn't know about. The Diablo one, I didn't realize there was a bug for that. I played a lot of Diablo 2. So upgrading a perk, where's that? Upgrade, level up. What do we call this? Skill up? It's probably skill up. Let's go listen to the sound effect. Sound data. Skill up. Here it is. Confirm 08. What's that sound like? Yeah, that's perfect. Hang on one sec. Okay. Yeah, my audio maxed. I had the sound set to 200%, so it just sounded quieter to me. When leveling up a perk, play skill up from here. But do not play the original, what is it, button sounds? UI button confirmed. Okay, so that is done. Interacting with the treasure spirit. Is it what? Talk to NPC? Click NPC, yeah. When interacting with the treasure spirit, play this from here. Do not play the sound of... Right now, it's playing a button hover sound. Possibly because a button in the resulting... Was it dialogue? More to life. Causing a button with sounds to be focused. It shouldn't play that hover sound. Okay, and what else? Customer disliking a price. Yeah, we just didn't get a sound for this. What should this sound like? That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's play that one. Play this when a customer... So there's that rage face. Where's the rage face? Probably not called rage. Hey, rage face. Rage face, Atlas texture. Okay, so we got to find the region of this. There it is. 48, 48, 16, 16. And now we got to find that in the loot boxes game. There's something. Probably in customer somewhere. Let's just go to game source, sub games, loot boxes, and just search for 48. Hey, there it is. I knew we'd find it. That was a very circuitous way of searching for that. All right, so when it rejects at 10%, I don't think it should play a sound. Maybe 20% or higher. When a customer rejects an item at 20%, 30%, or 40%. I'll just copy this here. Okay, hey Goose. All right, let's take a look at this. Is this everything? Oops, what did I just do? I think this is everything. I'd be pretty happy if this just worked. Yeah. All right, I'm not going to even have it plan this. Well, should I? Maybe I should have it plan this. I guess it doesn't hurt. And I am a little bit curious. We are at 95%, 100%. For sound plan. All right, while that's running, let's go update the design document. Gonna pipeline things here. Writing the design doc somewhere about how each game leads to the architect's realm. Yeah. I wonder where we write that. The architect's realm. Yeah, I should just write it here. The player enters the architect's realm after basically every game. This is because otherwise, I should write it the way I do. Without this frequency, we would need so many more sub games to play out the story. Or rather, for the story to play out. And this allows us to give more story or tell more of the story at the beginning to help hook the player and explain what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, so there's something here about the architect meeting other players. Also, this plan is done. Do you want to allow a read-only checksum of the 2 requested downloads audio files so I can confirm whether it has identical copies? No, just check for identical file names first. Yeah, just check for identical file names first. Then, and if you find them, ask me about checksums at that point. Where is architect? Wait a second. Where did I just put that? That entire section's in the wrong spot. Yeah, whoops. There should be no rationale here, I think. So I'll go over here. Real world. I'll just call it the architect's realm. Prior name, the real world. All right, time trial is faster. Video game characters retain their sprites. Yeah, this is perfect. All right, now we got to go find where I wrote stuff about the architect. Here it is. Hmm. I never wrote anything here about other players breaking out of games. Did I write it under agents, maybe? Actually, wait a second. What am I talking about? Even the. Oh, no. Darn it. Sidekick mentions being in other worlds, right? I've seen 2 other worlds myself. Yes. This might change things a bit. Sidekick says this. If you always go to the architect's realm, then Sidekick would have met the architect twice. There's dialogue saying the opposite of this. Oh, man. Yeah. I didn't even think about this. Scary. Did you meet anyone scary? They say, huh? What do you mean? Can't say I met them. No. Yeah, this is just wrong. This this won't suffice. All right, I got to think about this a little bit more. So, every agent who leaves their game would have met the architect, or they would have like ceased to exist, I guess. But yeah, Sidekick definitely would have. This is probably done now. It's not. For the existing unequip, should the implementation reuse it by file name or verify it against the downloads folder? Sure, whatever, just reuse it. What does this do? Yeah, what does this do for the game? So originally the story, well, and still this is probably gonna be the story. The architect makes these video games and then makes the video game characters and puts them in the video games. But the characters don't like the video games they're in and occasionally try to break out. And the ones who can't figure out how to break out will become NPCs. So every time a character does break out, they're getting into the architect's realm. The architect is sending them to a random game. Okay, that's another thing that maybe doesn't make sense. Why would the architect send characters to random games if they thought they designed the characters for specific worlds? So you random. If they didn't know this, they'd be very surprised. What point of working on fixing it? Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I guess confounding factor. If the architect felt like they designed characters for specific worlds, then it wouldn't exactly be in their nature to send them to random worlds when they return to the. Maybe it's out of retaliation. It was originally out of ignorance, but it eventually turned into retaliation. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, that could work. All right, so this question's answered. I haven't figured this out yet. Where I was going in my thought process was the architect just doesn't like video game characters. because those characters have been rude to her in the past. So, yeah, originally the architect would only meet those characters like 1 to 2 times at most, and then it would stop. Now it would be like 2 to 4 times if you keep going to the architect's realm after each game. I don't know. I don't know if this is a problem. Maybe it doesn't change anything. Also, hey, I don't like expired milk. And maybe it doesn't. I gotta find out where I wrote about this though. Let's take a look at this. Copy only missing same name audio files or use existing on equip. Wire sounds in the current chest customer perk. Yep. Add sound ID entries. Sounds good. This stuff about volume and whatever, we'll just listen for. I don't know. How is it? Did it inspect the files to figure out? Oh, maybe it took it from the other game. Yeah, probably took it from the other game. Read a file name only search. Do not checksum. Copy missing files. Manual open event. Yeah. Change not yet filled chest interaction. Okay. I think this is pretty reasonable. And we'll just listen for the sounds at the end anyway. This took quite a lot of quota to do. 77.97. Interesting. Hey Stats, how you doing? I'm fine with that. I don't want to do this tedious work anyway. So yeah, you would meet them several times. I think I have it in story beats at the very least. Let's go look at that. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's really a problem. Yeah. All right, where is this? Note, this means that any agent that leaves their world would see the architect. This would presumably be a more, well, a somewhat frequent occurrence, which is okay and probably adds to the architect's frustration. There's something important I wanted to write for this, though. Oh, yeah. We can just paper over the fact that it's quite easy to leave these worlds. We say that it's difficult for agents for some reason, even when the way to break out is obvious, like in the first platformer. Yeah, okay. I think that's all fine. So we have to change the sidekick dialogue. We have to change the sidekick dialogue. They definitely would have met the architect. Coincidentally enough, I don't think anyone, I had 5 people play this game. I don't think anyone ever saw this dialogue. And I think this is indicating kind of a bad thing, which is I think they were probably bored by the dialogue to not want to trigger more dialogue. Maybe we need to give them more of a reason for this at some point. All right, so we answered this. We answered this. Yeah, the portals versus glitches thing I got to go do. Do you want to allow read-only file name checks and downloads? I can confirm whether the requested declined sound source exists before copying it. Sure, whatever. When you launched your previous games, did you feel like they were not polished to your taste? That you should be spending a bit more time on them? asking if I'm about to launch a project of mine, and I'm thinking, what if I spend another month of polishing? My brain tells me I should just put it out there and receive public feedback first. Hang on one sec. Yes. So this very frequently happened. There was always I can't launch just yet because of X. And then X would change 400 times. And yeah, at some point I realized like I need to launch. So here's where I think X is valid. X is valid if it's like a game breaking bug, like a crash on the title screen, some like, I don't know, a security issue. Yeah. Or some like, I don't know, there's not enough game yet. Not even that. I don't think it's important. Yeah, I think it's like if it's a game breaking bug or something. Yeah, hold off on launch for that. But yeah, I would frequently say something like, well, once I have this feature in the game will be more fun. Or once I fix that bug or that UI or add this or that. There are all sorts of reasons. It probably would have improved the game quality. But yeah, at some point you just need a game to be out there and you start getting feedback on it. And I think the mitigations for this are like be ready to update the game frequently enough so that it doesn't feel final to have launched. And part of that is monitor feedback. And part of it is like do more playtests. So in general, I think the playtesting cycle, and this is true for a lot of any kind of testing, not just games, but the playtest cycle is something like put the game in front of players, get feedback, and then bucketize feedback and like, well, this is pretty much process it. So bucketize, prioritize, implement, and then repeat the whole cycle, right? So let's say you release your game. I don't know, you've got like Tetris, and you make Tetris and it has only like 3 columns of blocks. So you create a line of 3 and it wipes out that line. And people are like, oh, hey, I think this could use for like a bigger board or something like that, a bigger stage. You're like, okay, cool, whatever. That's one piece of feedback. Let's just move on. So you get to give it to another playtester. They say the same thing. Then the next playtester says the same thing. It's like, okay, this is probably pointing to an issue. Now, maybe they're correct in that their specific suggestion of increase the size of this is the best solution. And in the case of actual Tetris, it's like, yeah, that was a hit game that lasted for decades. But once you've processed that, you'll now get different feedback. So now people might say things like, you know, these colors are too bright, or I want a score to track how well I'm doing, or I want the game to get faster. And like now you get new buckets of feedback because the most glaring issue has been addressed. So I think there is this like fire hose of feedback that slowly just decreases in quantity because, or at least in intensity, because yeah, you've addressed the biggest things. Hey, TJ. Do you want to allow copying the exact download audio file? Sure. Although I suspect CP is going to be blocked as well, right? Ditto was blocked. Copy should be blocked, right? I don't know. I would just expect it doesn't have access to the downloads folder. But it apparently does because it didn't ask me anything else. Let me leave this open. Oh, by the way, I set this so that this could get through focus mode, and it's not actually giving me those notifications. Are you guys hearing that notification sound? Hang on one sec. Let me look into this really fast. Engage privacy mode. Because I want these notifications so I know that there's something that's supposed to be happening here. How do I find this? Oh, focus mode isn't even on. Oh, what's stopping notifications then? Is it OBS? I don't know. Hello, Fritz. And hello, Fritz viewers. Welcome in, everyone. How's it going? Hey, Zam. We are working on some polish stuff today. I kind of want to name this like sucky tasks day. There are a lot of things that I have to tackle that aren't necessarily fun. One of the things we're doing right now is we're adding sound effects to this particular sub game that we have in Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. And it's been fleshed out a lot. I don't know if the last time Fritz rated I'd been on this game, but this is like Skelecellar Light. You open up treasure chests. We don't have sound effects for a lot of stuff yet. Then you set the prices of items. And then customers will go into your town and buy items. So like that person might come over here. And if you set something too high, let's speed this up a bit. customers will come over to your item and get like upset at the price. Yeah, so they're mad at it. So we need to lower the price of these things. So let's just lower all these to 1. And maybe this one to like 5. So you got to find the right price that they're happy with. At some point, this treasure spirit up here will tell you like, hey, this item is priced too low. And you get these upgrades. So we have a lot of things left to do to finish this game. Actually, not really that many. So we're working on the sound effects part right now. And then we'll move on to other just kind of bad tasks. What's your keyboard? It looks cool. This is a corn keyboard. So the general principle of it is that it's 36 keys. And that means that if you were to just go press random keys, you'll get like letters, but then, okay, where are numbers and stuff? And for that, yeah, you enter another layer. So here I'm typing out letters. I hold this key. Now I'm typing out numbers. I hold this key. Now I'm typing out whatever, symbols or something, or moving with the arrow keys. So in general, it's pretty nice to type on. You don't have a lot of hand movement. As you see me maneuver, in fact, if you watch the keyboard camera, you'll see like, there's not a lot of, my hands hardly move as I'm typing or doing anything really. Closing tabs, like going between windows. So we were filing some design here. Changes portals versus glitches. Farming game needs to put you in the architect's realm again, only to be banished. Only for you to be banished. Top-down shooter needs its ending fleshed out. You know what happens after this. And yeah, we need to change the sidekick dialogue. All right, I gotta file this in the design doc somewhere. Where do we put this? Glitch. Yeah, here it is. When leaving a game world, you could end up in the real world or another game, as the game design demands. Yeah, this was an intentional decision, and this is why I'm glad I write down rationale for things. Because I said that this would be a bad thing to do, but actually now I think it's a good thing. Yeah, I develop games. Yeah, I'm working on this game called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. Hang on one second. Okay, hang on a second. Let me do something really fast. Decline 05. I'll explain a little bit more about what's going on after I copy this thing. Okay. Yeah, so I've been working on this game now for about 3 months, I think. A little over 3 months. So this is the game, Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. It's a bit peculiar. It's more like an anthology of games. We've got this character customizer in the beginning, so you can change your colors of stuff. So whatever, let's just hit accept here. So you start and you're in this platformer game, and you slowly work your way through broken worlds that exist and figure out like what's going on here. So the next game you end up in is a farming game. And I really like the idea of this. I think it's different enough from what other people would have played. There's still some familiar tropes in here. There's a lot of like humor and jokes that we can add in. This is glitchy for now, so we gotta fix this. Yeah, so anyway, we're working on polishing some things up. Like this game, for example, if I speed this up a bit, one of the problems is that this door is collidable. You see this, how I'm walking into the side? Like this should not happen. So this is little stuff that we want to work on probably today. And it's not fun. They're not fun tasks. We have to do that. Games inside games? Yeah, games inside games. So a lot of these games that you're going through are not necessarily supposed to be full games. Like some of them are just for the sake of jokes. Some of them are just for the sake of story. And some are just actually like, they'll be fun games. Yeah. Do you have a team or solo? I've got the credits here. Oh, sorry. I typed that with an extra I. There we go. I got to clean this keyboard. I'm going to write a note to myself for today. Yeah. Every time it's double typing. Jeez. All right. So when leaving a game world, you always end up in the architect's realm. So this is where exactly? It's under game worlds. Maybe I should put this or like locations or something. All right, so we got to merge this in there. All right, architect added those portals himself, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that question yet. Well, I guess I do, and it's that portals are for supply lines, basically. Oh, nice, Matt. Is it for business, for fun, like vacation? And thank you. Hey, DevZone. Also have a pair programming buddy, but she's missing now, it seems. Oh, you mean Abby? Yeah, she is missing now. Conspicuously absent. So you're actually following the World Cup? No, I'm not really into sports. I'm guessing you're following it. Has it been entertaining? Is any particular World Cup better than another World Cup for people? I guess maybe based on which teams you're rooting for. And yeah, I was gonna say it's probably pretty exciting. Moving kid to a new state. Oh wow, in a week and a half. Yeah. I watch a World Cup, not usual football though. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the best of the best, right? And those same teams must play other games, but maybe they're just not as high stakes or something. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's like I'll watch some Smash tournaments or something, but I typically only watch like the biggest tournaments. Also, there's some crazy stuff that happened last few months in terms of a character who played Luigi in Melee. Not that that probably matters to anybody, but some entertaining matches. All right, so portals and glitches. Yeah. All right, so this gets deleted. So, yeah, I guess there's another rule. Some games have portals to let you exit, and others have glitches. Originally, the difference that I had planned is that a portal would always take you to a new game, but a glitch would always take you to the architect's realm. However, the issue we ran into is that we would need like 20 plus sub games just to tell the full story if we only had you go to the architect's realm every few games. So I changed that. Now portals are essentially supply lines designed by the architect. In the farming game, it was to export crops to other games. In the loot boxes game, it's to import customers. You as a player just happen to be abusing these mechanics. Why would they take you to the architect's realm though? Also, this has implications too. Jeez, so difficult. So yeah, here's the problem: is like, where are the customers coming from? The architect's realm? Does that make sense? Are the crops going to the architect's realm? Yeah, maybe there's like a factory inside the architect's office for managing that stuff. No, I don't like that idea. I don't like this idea. He was sad for me I didn't have a football team. He said his team winning the World Cup was a spiritual existence experience for him. Yeah, but now we do, right? I mean, aren't we in the World Cup? I chose CSE major. It's already 1 year, but I have zero clue what I'm doing. I have no roadmap. I don't know where to start. So clueless. And the bigger problem is I know how to code, but don't know how to program. I'm so clueless. So a roadmap, like you said, you're doing a major for this. Isn't it the responsibility of the school to lay out some kind of like your curriculum and coursework? Because if they are, then like talk to them. If they aren't, then that means you picked all of your classes and don't have an idea of what you're doing. We're in the World Cup. Okay, well, yeah, well, we have a team. And he's Grody. Yeah. Anyway, I would say that yeah, like you're spending a significant amount of your life doing schooling, so like yeah, you should definitely figure out what your plan is. Also saying you know how to code but not how to program, like I kind of consider them the same thing. I guess it doesn't really matter. You feel like there's some skill lacking. After 1 year of coursework, I wouldn't say it should all be clear to you though. It's just that they teach to pass their exam. But what I'm saying is that curriculum should form the roadmap. If you say I have no roadmap, it makes it sound like the school has no curriculum. Whether or not they're teaching for you to pass exams is different. But like still, I'd say it's probably important material. But yeah, like talk to some professor or faculty or whatever and like share these concerns that you have because this is not normal after a year if you feel like there's no roadmap. Otherwise, like what are you doing and spending your time and potentially money on this? All right, I'm not certain I like this. I don't think portals make sense. Maybe portals are just a manifestation of a glitch, but then how are customers entering it in the loot boxes game? All right, let's look at all the sound stuff. This should be done now. Let's go try it out. Perfect. Perfect. There should probably be a selection sound for picking a different perk. I don't think we had that in Skeleseller, but I think we need it. Still need a sound for selecting a new perk. Or selecting just a perk. It doesn't matter if it's new or not. So they teach every language, but just basic. But it was just your first year. I I guess I'd be curious what you're expecting exactly from your first year. Like presumably the curriculum for your second year is going to build on what you learned in the first year, and then your third year is going to build on the second year, if you have a third year, and likewise with the fourth. And yeah, if you feel like you're wandering or you're lost, I think it's use the school's resources more than it is try to go do things on your own. Otherwise, like I said, like why are you in school at all? Like wouldn't you just leave and learn everything on your own? Like the school must be providing some benefit. Try to extract more of that benefit from it. This is great. All right, I want to hear the sound of a customer. Wait, what happened there? Customer rejecting something. Buy my goods. All of them are overpriced. Please come make a purchase. Come on, stupid customers. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Get your butts over here. What are they doing? What? Oh my god. It's ridiculous. They have an increasing chance to go. There we go. All right. I just want to hear the sound effect. Yeah. Jeez. Took them a long time. And now you come by and buy everything. All right, let's speed this up a bit. Because there's one other issue I wanted to check out. All right. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, feels nice. Learned most of what I learned on my own. Going back to school, so I have that paper. And so my kids will go to college. I do think there's a benefit. The way I've always kind of said this, and this is my own opinion at least, is that I think college is good for people who need the structure. But by the way, college for computer science. It's probably very different for medicine or law or whatever else. I can't comment on that. But at least for computer science, it's like most of the jobs in the US, you don't need a degree for. There are jobs where you do. But like I worked alongside people at big companies who they didn't have any degree. They had an electrical engineering degree. They had a computer science degree. And it didn't really make a difference too much. It mattered how motivated were they, how smart are they, how long were they doing this stuff for. So there are people out there who if you give them whatever 40 hours a week to do something, to learn something, they just won't do it. And for those people, college is great because college is pretty much going to force them to do something and to get by, otherwise you get booted out. So yeah, for those people, if you need the structure, great. If you're the kind of person who you have 20 hours a week to work on something and you're like, I'm working on that for 18 of those hours, then awesome. You might not need college. All right, sound for selecting the perk. What should we use for that? We have a bunch of these like UI hover. Where'd this go? I closed it. Maybe just this sound. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right, I'll go put this over here. Play sound ID hover. When switching between or when selecting different perks in the perks dialog. Need a degree for every subject. I'm not saying to drop out, just to be clear. I'm saying that like the school exists for a reason. They must be teaching something. There must be a way to extract more value out of it. If you have any access to your professors, for example, after school, like just talk to them. I mean, I think it's a generalization of me to say that most professors care about either their research or about teaching. There's got to be professors then at your school who care about the teaching part of things. And yeah, presumably they want to help students. But yeah, at the same time, there's got to be some school out there where just no one cares. They're not being paid enough. I don't know, everyone's terrible. Okay, so this thing about getting events to go through when I gotta write this down in my notes. I have a lot to do. I'm still not getting codecs notifications when OBS is open. I don't think focus mode is even on. I probably have it blocking notifications in some other way. Lore questions. Am I right? Lore questions. What do we do? All right, so just delete all this, I guess. So, like, did the architect create the portals? Single code base and left in debug backdoors that were never intended to be reached by game characters? Huh. Okay. I gotta think about this. Also, Scrody, please do be mindful of segmenting. It's the only unusual rule in this chat. Okay. So I think all the sound effects are now in and working, and we can probably move on to something else. But let's go try this out again. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. All right. Everything's feeling pretty good in terms of sounds. Cool. No, the portal didn't make a sound when you touched it. Wait a second. Portal open is what's supposed to make that sound? What is that sound? Generic portal open. Generic. And there's teleport. Open is when you walk into it, right? No, it's when it appears. I think it should play portal open when you walk into it. Yeah, this shouldn't be that hard to do. In loot boxes, we have the whole portal dialogue. Create portal. Player entered portal. Yeah, this. I'll just play a sound here. Audio system, play sound, portal open. Okay, let's listen to that and see if that sounds good. I expect this will sound fine. Can they bargain with you for the price? No, they just indicate when they're upset with a price. And then the treasure spirit eventually tells you that you should probably set a better price. All right, let's just listen for sound effects here, and then I got to take a break. Perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, so we got to check that in. We got to answer some of these lore questions, but I'm going to go take a break for right now. So, is it jump time? Is that going to work? Is it jump time? Him back. All right, close the game. All right, so we've gotten all the sound stuff. I'm going to go check this in. I think we can delete all of this now. So this took down to 56%. I mean, this is unusual. And I think part of it was stuck on tooling to try to copy files over. But it doesn't really matter too much. And we got to figure out a design question after this. Yeah, all right, let's go check this in. How's the game coming along? It's coming along really well. We've got almost 4 complete games. I say almost because like this one's nearly done. We got to fix up the world. There are these nav tiles around here, but like the gameplay is pretty solid. And this one, we also have to clean up the world and do some balancing and some other little like polish changes. So at some point we'll come back and finish those. But yeah, I think by the end of July, this should be looking a lot better. And I'm not playing the music from here right now, but that's also coming along pretty well. Hey, Lavender, it is indeed Polish Day today. Where are gnomes going to hide? What? What? All right, item sale. I think all this was good. We can do balancing later for the volume. Hey, Mohit Kumar. Long time no see. How's it going? Click NPC. It's not really click NPC. Also, this name is bad. It should be this. Maybe we change this to interact with NPC. Oh, those were goblins. Oh, okay. Actually, those would be some pretty cool Easter eggs to add in at some other point. You could interact with a goblin and they'll drop items or something for you. Is it Godot? Yeah. This is Godot and C#. All right, manually play item rejected sound if needed. Yeah, that's fine. Wait, just make sure that's fine. This is kind of stupid. Yeah, what is unavailable even used for? Is it used? Oh, that there was no item? I see. All right, well, I think this is kind of a stupid way of writing out this function. I think we just say if purchase outcome is this or this or this, and then just change these to be 30 and 40, and then do that. There, yeah, that looks a lot better, right? At least I think so. Now there's a problem here, which is what happened to the rest of this code. And it is probably that I accidentally deleted the curly brace. Yes, it is. There, that fixed it all. Is there a Skeleteller minigame? Yeah, that's basically this minigame. So this uses all the Skeleteller graphics, the Skeleteller music, a lot of the sound effects. Well, I'm using the same sound effects for pretty much every game. And yeah, same general mechanics here. So like, you know, Treasure Spirit tells you, open the treasure chest near me to start earning loot. So you do. And now you've got loot. And then they tell you you need customers. So you go to your perks board and get the customer portal. And now customers will spawn from this portal at the bottom of your town. And this is where this is a broken tutorial. You could just leave. So you just leave the game and you're done with it. You don't need to interact with anything up here. And some players might discover that and do that, and maybe they'll laugh about it. But yeah, otherwise you'd come over to here and you would set item prices, unlike in Skeleteller. So maybe you try selling this for 5 and these for 6. And I'll speed this up a bit. So now customers might be happy with it, they might not be. Yeah, so this is too high a price. And yeah, that's the general gameplay loop for this one. You set item prices, you sell things, and you buy perks. And the perks will let you get more customers, more item stands. Yeah, we gotta finish balancing this game. All right, they're happy with those prices. Nice. Oh, that was too high. That one's also too high. No. I'm playing at 4 times speed, so they're buying things faster than I can set the prices on them sometimes. I have not set it on the half. I'll set this to 12. Too high. Nice. They gonna buy that? Okay, let's try this. Yeah. I can almost afford the next tier of treasure chests now. And now I can. And now we get silver chests. And in this are new items. And then the treasure spirit will finally tell you when an item is priced way too low. So this is worth, yeah, at least like 60. Anyway, I think this is a pretty fun game loop. It's pretty silly. It's like right to the point. Yeah, we have some other changes we need to make here. Treasure Spirit should tell me about an underpriced item pretty soon. Yeah. I think it's a neat game. Well, they're not happy about that. Now they are. What a game. You're gonna put Botland in there too? I'm not sure. Maybe. 1,500 for the next one. Oh, this is too low. We're getting so much money. Needs competition. No, they don't. All right, we can buy the next treasure chest now. Which means we got to set item prices for the next tier. These should sell for like 100, right? Still too low, wow. What's the objective? The objective is to leave the game. So you just walk through this portal and you're done. that's literally it. This game is a joke. It's meant to show how long will people open loot boxes when there's no purpose whatsoever. Because that's what most other games are nowadays. And I just want to see, like, will people max out this game and then they'll walk through the portal and be like, wait a second. No, I'm not going to add a purpose. There will not be a high score. I want it to be a commentary about opening loot boxes, excuse me. So yeah, I think players should feel somewhat hollow when they realize, like, wait a second, I didn't need to play this game at all. It's an intentional feeling. All right, interact with NPC in this case is not a UI sound. Why is this red? Oh, wait. Oh, we need it to be... Okay, so I guess it's a player sound. Open treasure chest. This is also a player sound. Yeah, so it came up with the wrong classification for all these things. We'll just take a look. Non-player. This one's correct. Player. These don't have to be, but that's fine for now. UI, player. Customer. This one's correct. Yeah, all right, looks fine. Okay. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Yep. Grab initial focus. Is this passed in? Yeah, this is fine. Skip next focus sound. This is private. Unfocus entered. Okay. This could be simplified a little bit. We could just say, if not skip next focus sound, play the audio, and then do this regardless and delete this entire thing. I think it was probably clearer how it just was, though. It's kind of funny that I'd even rewrite it. It's like taking fewer lines of code is not necessarily better. So let's put it back to how it was. All right, this is this fine? If there's 0 perk buttons, this isn't even a thing. Yeah, this shouldn't even be a thing. Configure focus navigation is called from init. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't want that there at all. Convert into method group. Sure. Yeah, sure. That's fine. Play open animation. I see. So there must be something that listens for the result of this. Yeah. How can this fail? I see. If it wasn't open. Okay. That's fine. BB code enabled. This changed very slightly. I don't think it's worth keeping this. So let's just revert both of these things. And then we get all the sound effects. Nice. So add sound effects to loot boxes game. That took me a little longer than I thought, even using AI. But now we gotta answer these design questions. This technically isn't a polished task, but still it's on my mind and I don't want this on my to-do list. So I think the big questions are, why do you sometimes leave through portals and sometimes through glitches? And yeah, how do we explain the intentional portals, like in the farming game and the loot boxes game? And yeah, who created the portals? Where are the customers coming from? Can it be part of a loot box? No, it's got to be something separate from the loot boxes. Because again, this game is supposed to be a social commentary about opening loot boxes, so there's got to be a way to bypass that, just like there would be in real life. Well, actually, I guess technically, no, yeah, you could just walk over to here, get the portal, and then leave the game. So if it came out of a loot box, then you need to open the loot boxes, so there would have been a purpose to that. And then as a player, you would think, oh, I got lucky and got it on my first try, when really it's like you triggered that action. So I want it to be the prior game would have, wait, no, not the prior game. 2 games ago would have brought you out of a portal. So you know that portals can make you leave. And then this game requires you to go through it. So yeah, why do you sometimes leave through portals and sometimes through glitches? Let's go write all this stuff in the design document. Over here. Portals. Is it going to type? I don't know why Google Docs does this. Is it that the document is too long? Something broken here? Weird. The cursor wasn't even flashing. Usually it types out what I had there when it freezes like that. All right. So yeah, questions about portals. Let's write the timestamp for this. Sometimes lead through portals and sometimes through glitches. So I'm inclined to say that portals are glitches, but we have intentional portals in the game. Maybe we say that's just how it is. There's got to be some way to leave the game. Like, the glitches are for games where the architect didn't add a portal. Do we need an explanation even? Hey, Mr. Who Cares? How's it going? Should be an old NPC in the area when you start the game and you see him exit the portal when you open it up. No, so okay, the plan right now is pretty solid. I'm trying to answer some slightly different things. The loot boxes game, at least. Like, the plan is you can leave at pretty much any time. there's a big hint in the form of you unlocking the portal. And eventually you'll realize there's nothing more to this game, or that you've unlocked everything, and you'll wander around. But the game incentivizes not wandering around. So if in playtesting it comes out that people are confused or frustrated, I will probably need to modify this stuff. And that's when we would probably add hints. But I don't want to add hints if players don't need them, because I think it will undermine the message a little bit. So do we need an explanation? Probably not really. At least not much of one. Let me think about this though. I think the portal in the farming game is just... I think it's not broken enough. Portal in the farming game doesn't feel broken enough. Like there was this puzzle, well, puzzle in quotes, it's not really a puzzle, that you had to solve. And then you got the portals to appear. It probably feel like you had to do something special. Maybe interacting with the chair does it. That would actually be kind of funny. Oh, I like the text that's there now. So I'm not sure what we want to do for that. But yeah, if you run over to the community center. This is it. All I see are those levers. At least there's a chair if we get tired. And you talk to the chair and it says, you feel an overwhelming sense of peace knowing this chair can serve as a resting spot. I like that. I think it'd be kind of interesting, I guess, if you talk to the chair. Sorry, I know you can't see the chair because I'm blocking it with my body. There's the chair. Two chairs, actually. The real life one and the virtual one. Yeah, it could be interesting if you like push the chair and these levers appear. That still wouldn't feel broken though. I'd feel like it's intentional. But yeah, the levers just spawned the portal. So it doesn't feel like it was a glitch or anything. It feels like these were just meant to be here. You rock back and forth and the game ends. You gotta still leave through something. I think a chair glitching into another world wouldn't make a lot of sense. But maybe if the chair was the portal, sort of like in Harry Potter, there are port keys. Maybe then it'd make more sense. But still, I'm not sure there's even a problem here. I think the problem might be ahead of this. That we make it seem like these are all intentional steps you were supposed to get through. Maybe I should write this down in the backlog. I think the farming game needs to feel more broken in how you leave it. Right now, Sidekick says that the town wizard said to put strawberries into trash cans. Maybe that's more of a puzzle. And the community center, which was heretofore totally inaccessible, is now accessible. Yeah, falling through the world thing, I don't want to abuse. We used that in the very first game, and then this is the second game. And if you also fell through that world, I feel like it would just be a bunch of like you're falling through worlds, and it would seem sort of bland to the player. It reminds me of in Super Mario World, there was the castle defeating animation. Yeah, this sort of thing. I wonder if I can find like a GIF. Well, anyway, in some of these, like Mario literally like kicks down the castle. Another one, he detonates it with dynamite. I think in another one he probably like stomps on it or something. I don't fully remember all of them. But it was a nice way of showing like it's not the same, oh, you're just watching the same canned animation every time. It was a really nice touch. So I want to do something like that where it's a creative way of having you leave the game. Or it's through a portal and it's like some mechanic that you understand and it's about seeking out the portal. So yeah, I think this is a problem, and this is now separate. I think the portal thing we may not need an explanation for. It's like, yeah, that's just no. I guess we do need an explanation. Yeah, feel like we do. Portals feel intentional. So if they lead back to the architect's realm, the architect would realize this and stop making portals or close them. Hmm. Maybe it's something special about you that makes you go somewhere else when you enter this portal. That doesn't make sense though, because Sidekick can enter them. Hey, Sarah. Are you excited? What happened today? Some kind of clearly broken graphic. Yeah, so that's a part I'm not sure about. And yeah, maybe we do have to do something like that. Maybe we have to change the portals into something more obviously broken. The world just doesn't exist for that section, or it teleports you in some way. The part of the farming game that we needed though was that you and Sidekick would get separated. Maybe you each press your own levers and it just teleports you. I said it by your title clearly. Okay. Oh man. I've heard these stories. I don't know if they're made up or not, but of someone working for a company, this was like late 90s, early 2000s, where HR just lost track of them and they just stopped getting work and no one ever knew who they reported to, and they worked for a year. They were getting a paycheck, but they just sat there at a desk. Maybe that's Sarah's life now. Okay. This is I think what Phaedrix is talking about is probably the best way of going about this. I like this idea. The portal in the loot boxes game could be special in that it was intended to be a one-way portal. That sounds wonderful. I feel like it'd be like a sort of Damocles situation, right? You're always worried that this is all going to come to an end, and maybe you'd feel bad about just taking money from a company for doing nothing. Okay, so maybe we need to go back to the community center for a second here, because I want to think about this a little bit longer. So let's start at the beginning here. You actually don't have a key. Let's go to free play. Or no, wait, free play after Fever Dream. Yeah, you actually don't have a key. You get these strawberries. You come over here. You talk to Sidekick. All right, I saw you talk to those NPCs. You're different. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Any ideas how to escape? I did get a hint from the town wizard. It was throw giant strawberries into the trash cans around town. You didn't happen to grow any crops yet, did you? All right, so what if we made that a little bit more of a puzzle? Like, these don't all have to be right here. Well, they could be. I think it's probably fine. I don't think it's gonna be a hard puzzle. But anyway, okay, you throw these in. And you get a key. The only locked door I've ever seen is at the community center. Let's go. Follow me. All right, so they walk to the community center. You can't talk to them, but you can go to here. So, and we can make this more of a puzzle too, I guess. Yeah, so maybe instead of portals, like the ground just disappears. I almost wonder, what if we just split the room in half and just the section just like separated from each other? You know what? What if the portal was like an L shape and it was invisible? So it's just a teleport region, basically. There's a little drawing tool here. So like, what if this is gone and this area, if you touch any of the red line, you just warp away? Then Sidekick wouldn't know that you could warp away, so they wouldn't know to be excited there. It doesn't probably really matter. I do kind of like the idea that there'd be like a trap door here. And that's what warps you out. Are they gonna break the fourth wall at any point? Probably not the Sidekick, no, but someone else might. Lever opens a debug menu and there's an option of quick game. I want it to be something that happens to you. If it's gonna feel like it wasn't intentional. And then I guess the question is like, why were these levers here in the first place? Maybe they were essentially debug levers. Yeah, I like the idea of the ground falling out beneath you. Toggle the levers. However, then the portal and the loot boxes game wouldn't be an obvious exit for you. Levers are feature flags. Yeah, I think we remove this. It's not super compelling to me. Not yet, at least. Something needs to separate you and Sidekick. And then something needs to make you exit the game. Warp to X and the warp is wrong. I think it still feels kind of just like a portal, because you wouldn't know that it's the wrong warp. Like it, yeah. Also, I guess this is sending you to the Architect's realm. Actually, no, this doesn't make any sense. Drat, it doesn't make any sense. Something I just realized. If all games send you to the Architect's realm, then both of these portals would lead to the same place. Yeah, I had not thought of that. So Sidekick would be there with you. Then you'd each get teleported to separate games, I suppose. So we don't need two portals. Okay, I got to redo a lot of this, I think. So then we don't need to separate you. We don't even did I take a picture of that? Yeah, I want this picture still. And I want the picture without the markup. Okay, so here's something we could do. You toggle both levers and the carpet like just disappears or something. And now you can fall through. Again, it's the falling through though. I don't like that. Something needs to get you out of here and into the Architect's realm. I mean, the only means of transportation are you like walk there, you're teleported there, you fall there, something brings you there. There's not, I mean, you're getting from point A to point B. Like, how many ways can we really do that? I guess maybe it's a more creative way of like, how do you get there in a broken way? So in the platformer, you fell through the world. In this one, I'm not sure. It could be like the whole screen just like melts. I made this effect a while ago. Where is this? Where is it indeed? Oh, where did I put that? All right, I have a GitHub repo somewhere. I don't think I even put it here. No, I think it's here maybe. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, I could do something like this. Where your characters just kind of like melt away. The whole screen melts. And then, I don't know, like it fades to black and you reappear. Toggle a world switch where the door you entered the town hall through changes it. Oh, that's a really cool idea. Yeah. I really like that. So yeah, and this feels super broken too. You enter the community center. You toggle the levers. I guess there's no reason for Sidekick to toggle the other one. And then seemingly nothing happens. You leave and you are now in the Architect's realm. Yes. So the only questions that I still have with this. All right, well, I have a bunch of things. But yeah, I'm gonna give Phaedric a point for starting this and Chili a point. All right, so I gotta bundle this up in a design doc at some point. Design changes. So portals, and you leave games through glitches. The portal in the loot boxes game is basically a glitch. It was meant for customers to enter your town and is unintentionally an exit point. And in that sense, it's a glitch. Like, yeah, you can leave through it, but there's no like hint or setup for this stuff. And maybe we should outline the portal when you get close. No, I don't think we need to do that. Yeah, so these glitches should ideally be unique and unexpected. Sort of like how Mario destroys castles in Super Mario World. Does this answer pretty much everything? It does answer pretty much everything. Yeah. All right, so questions. Like, yeah, how do we change the community center? And how do we separate you from Sidekick? And here's an idea. Maybe you each enter the community center. Or like maybe you see Sidekick enter the community center first. But when you enter, they're not there. It indicates that you're in different copies of that building. I don't think that'd be super clear. You see NPCs in the loot box game exit the portal? No, you don't see them exit. It's just you. And part of the reason why is all the characters you see in the loot box game are NPCs, and NPCs have no agency to even realize to go do that. All right, so yeah, how would this feel if, let's speed this up a lot. I could just skip this. What am I doing? Okay, so now let's get the key. So here's what I'm thinking. You get the key, they walk you to the community center, you unlock the door, but then they walk in first, which I guess would be tough because you'd be blocking the door. But anyway, let's say they walk in first. So now they're gone. Imagine they're not there. You walk in and you don't see Sidekick here. So, you know, if we had this as our picture, imagine they're just not there. Oh, actually, you know what? That'd be kind of cool. What if we did this? What if you do see them there, but they're blurry? So it's like, okay, something's definitely amiss here. Oh, that's kind of cool. And maybe they try talking to you, but we blur out all their text as well. And you actually see them walk over to the lever and they're still blurry. And I don't know. That's an interesting way, though. I do like that idea. If we ever need Sidekick to enter with you, we could have them be blurry and have their text be garbled. You were intended to get separated here, which is why this room was designed the way it was. It was supposed to be that you'd access one portal and they'd access another portal. And the portals would go to different locations. So when you made it to the next game, you wouldn't be like, wait, why isn't Sidekick here? It would just make sense to you. So we don't need two portals now, I guess. But yeah, I guess it comes down to like, should they separate before they even get in here or after? It could be that the levers open a top, like a door out of the top of the community center. Or open, no, it can't be that. No, if you're going to leave the community center, you each are going to leave together. In which case, you'd see Sidekick anyway. Also, Sidekick would still just end up with you in the Architect's realm. All right, so then we pretty much just keep what we have, and the portals don't spawn. Yeah, so I think we keep what we have. Well, we don't exactly keep what we have. Where is this? The farming game needs to put you in the Architect's realm. Yeah, and how you get there, how you get to the, how you leave the community center needs to change. So like you don't spawn portals. One of you comments on how the switches seem to do nothing. You eventually leave only to be in the Architect's realm. Sidekick shows up shortly thereafter. You walk into the office. The architect says, "You again?" No, two of you. And banishes you both. One lever does nothing and one causes a warp. Maybe Sidekick goes in, pauses, comes out and says, "Just to remove a bunch of useless levers." I don't think that's necessary. I think the levers are doing something. They're changing the world that you're in. That way, when you leave through the community center, you're back in the Architect's realm. What does this say exactly? Did you meet anyone scary? Yeah, perfect. Now that all games go to the Architect's realm. Farming game needs to put you in the Architect's realm only for you to be banished. You don't spawn portals. One of you comments on how the switches seem to do nothing. You eventually leave the community center only to find yourself in the Architect's realm. You know, it'd be kind of funny. So we just kept the top-down mechanics, but inside the Architect's realm, which I guess wouldn't make sense. But imagine that, like, this is set up for a platformer. So there's gravity. You jump up to here, you jump up to here, you jump over to the door. But imagine if this was just a top-down game and we had the farm player and put them over here somewhere and I guess made them a little bit larger. Scale 2. Yeah, and imagine you could just, like, walk upward. Or you just walk across like this. Or maybe we just spawn you next to the office door and you just have to walk in so that we don't need to, it's like there's gravity, but you just can't walk off the edge. That probably makes the most sense. Yeah. You would spawn on opposite sides of the office door. There would be collision set up such that you can only move left and right. No, well, I'm thinking the levers could actually just make a sound. Maybe toggling both levers plays a... Do we have some like thunk sound? Yeah, play something like this. All right, I love this. I mean, I think we're almost entirely there. I think the only thing I'm still a little bit torn about, do I have a picture from before this? No, I don't. Yuck. I should have gotten a picture before this. So farming game, free play. Just walk over there. All right, I want to take a picture like this. So what I'm thinking is these levers both still exist. You walk over to one, you toggle it, they say nothing happens. You walk over to the other one, you hear a sound, but still seemingly nothing happens. But the sound is diegetic, so the character comments on it. Sidekick, you and Sidekick hear it and comment on that. Maybe hear it and maybe even understand that it came from outside. So you walk out of the community center. Mirrors your movements so that you both leave the community center at roughly the same time. That would look a little strange, I think. After you walk outside, Sidekick follows. Find yourself in the Arctic's realm. Not fall off the edge. Walk into the office. Architect says you again. No, two of you banishes you both. Perfect. You end up in the top-down shooter. They don't. So is this the best manifestation of this then? Because we don't need two levers. We don't need Sidekick even leaving this. There could just be one lever. Could be a room full of levers and you just need to keep toggling them until you find the right one. Yeah, I think that's the only thing. We don't really need the two lever mechanic anymore. It could be that the community center is a room full of switches and you have to find the right one. It could also be a puzzle where you play a lights out kind of game. I don't really like that. Or what about this? It could seem like a puzzle, but you just need to toggle the correct lever. As for those who haven't seen this game, a lot of old video games did this sort of thing. The way this works is you'd press any of these lights and it would toggle all the surrounding ones. So when you press this, these three would turn on. And the goal was to get them all to turn on or turn off. And like I said, a lot of games did this for some reason. I think it was just an easy enough puzzle to make and it fit into an RPG. So it'd be kind of interesting if we had this setup, but it's just like this switch is the switch you press to open the door. Or maybe we just check to see which is the fourth unique one that you press. So it seems like you found the right one. I sort of like that. Maybe it's the fourth unique switch that you toggle, regardless of any other circumstances. This definitely makes it seem like it's intentional, though. If it seems intentional, then it would seem like it's designed into the game, that the architect meant for you to leave. It might be better. No, even if there's any puzzle there that's supposed to let you do something. So maybe it's something that seems like it should do X, but it really changes the entrance door. into a portal. The portal is kind of in quotes, like it changes the exit from going to exit destination from being the community center to being the architect's realm. Yeah. So they're really doing X. What I'm picturing here is, I don't know, imagine you've got some kind of water wheel in a room and you're trying to turn on the water wheel, and instead of actually turning it on, it changes the door exit. So it's like clearly a glitch. If the water wheel were to start spinning, you'd be like, oh, all I did is activate a water wheel. Now, a water wheel doesn't make sense in the community center. That's just some contrived example. What would make sense in a community center? Like turning on the lights? Or I don't know, maybe you're just like pushing chairs into a table and that somehow triggers a door. Yeah, I think a lever seems too intentional. It'd be kind of funny. You enter the room, there's just a chair here. Obviously, you go interact with the chair, and it's like you rest your hand on the chair and it presses into the floor. You hear a sound outside. That might be better. It definitely seems unexpected. Oops. Yeah, maybe the chair is the lever. You interact with it. You see something like, this chair gives you an overwhelming sense of peace, knowing that you could rest here if you need it. You rest your arm on the chair. It sinks into the floor a bit. Did you hear that? Supposed to be like sidekick. A sound plays from outside. Yeah. Wilhelm screams somewhere in the game. I think Wilhelm screams are a little bit overused. And it's like a fun Easter egg if it sounds like it's kind of a scream where there should actually be a scream. But I don't think we should do it in this game, at least. Not the sub game, I mean. I also don't know what the licensing is on it. I assume it's fine because it's in like everything. All right. Yeah, and if you leave the community center without touching the chair, without triggering the glitch, should put you back into town. All right, I'm going to take another quick break. Is it jump time? close the game. All right, so had some time to simmer on this. And yeah, I like this idea. I like the idea of the community center being empty as well. Like there are some rugs in here and then there's just a chair. You're like, what? I think that violates expectations much more. I think it solves a lot of problems. It does create a bunch of work for us. Yeah. So you don't spawn portals. There are no levers. It's just a room that is empty other than a single chair. The chair is the lever to change the world that the door connects to. Nuts. So resting on the chair plays this. Yeah, you walk outside, you're in the Architect's realm, you get banished. Yeah. There's nothing even in here. All right, have we answered everything at this point? I think so. Let's go bundle this back into the design document. Goodness. Okay, so almost every game has you leave through a glitch. Every game, we should just say every game does. Yeah. Every game has you leave through a glitch. Portals versus glitches distinction. A portal would take you to a new game, but a glitch would take you to the Architect's realm. The reason we can't always use portals is that they seem intentional, and the architect doesn't want characters entering her realm. Yeah. The loot box's portal is intentional, but only as an entrance. The glitch is that you can leave through it. Okay, everything's solid. Everything's solid except that now Sidekick needs to be in the Architect's realm with you, which is more to animate. So all of this is figured out. This is figured out. Oh yeah, and I gotta write this down too. Note, these glitches should ideally be unique and unexpected. Rationale, it's just funner. It's more fun and funnier that way. We could blur your character and have them character or the world to mask and exit at one point. This idea doesn't really belong here, but that's fine. All right, done with that. New retcon is that there's supply lines. Don't think portals make sense. Yep. Great. Practical implications. Yeah, so all of these things need to be done now, but now we can go file this somewhere else. Whew. Crazy. Wow. All right. Well, where do we leave off with all this? Architect realm, I added in the player, delete, and close everything. Yeah, they fit pretty well, actually. All right, so hide nav tiles at runtime. Yeah. Sure. So where is this? Loot boxes? And didn't we make a tile to change them into? Nav. Nav tiles? Make nav tiles invisible. How did this work? This worked kind of stupidly. Yeah, this worked kind of stupidly. Why don't we just hide the whole layer? I don't know why I didn't think to do that. I guess because I put it all on one layer. Environment, tile map layer 1, tile map layer 2, tile map layer 3. This could just be called nav tiles. Tile map layer 3. I don't understand why this was accessible as a unique name. We never did that. Unless I typed it wrong. Tile map layer 3. No, never did it. Yeah, we just turn this off like that, right? Or does that stop collision? Because if it stops collision, then we can't do that. Oh, I could just change the collision layer, though. No, it doesn't stop collision. All right, well, then that's our answer. This was stupid. Why did I do that in Skeleseller? We want there to be invisible walls around the town, but we as developers need to be able to see those walls. So we changed those tiles to be invisible colliders at runtime. I don't think there was any reason to do this, but it doesn't matter. All right, so loot boxes. Do we ever get anything from the environment here? Tile map layer. Yeah, we do. All right, so we're going to get this nav tiles dot hide. Easy. I would even go so far as to say easy peasy. That was quite simple. So now when we start the game, we don't see the word nav all over the place. If I speed this up, we still can't go out of bounds. Good, good, good. Yep, no seams. Pretty nice. Chance I'm off to travel back and forth to the Bay Area for work soon. I mean, that's not too bad. It's a pretty short flight. Or do you not want to travel more at this point? All right, so yeah, hide nav tiles at runtime. I just literally hid the layer. I assume, I don't know. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. All right. Make sure you can't get stuck when buying treasure stands or item displays. Yeah, this is like a final cleanup sort of thing. Rather time back, but you're right. It's about the best case. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's not too far. And usually they pay for this sort of thing too, right? Like you get free food, free stay. Text outline to labels on the buttons. I think this is back when we had a purchase dialogue. I don't know if we need this anymore. Hey, Flair, how are you doing? How's the game dev been going? Change this so we don't always start in the loot boxes game. This really doesn't matter. Consider putting perks dialog directly into the loot boxes UI so we can see what it looks like without having to instantiate it through code. Yeah, why didn't I do this? What is this thing called? Perk dialog? Perk dialog. And what makes a perk dialog? Well, we got to find the scene for that. Dialogue. Perks dialog. What? Why didn't this show up in code? Perks dialog. Huh, maybe I mistyped it. Okay, well, anyway, we create it right here. We add it, and when dismissing it, do we free it? No, the dialog frees itself. This is minor. I don't think this matters. Yeah. Tooltips that show up in the perks dialog sort of cover all the costs and options. It'd be nice to make them smaller. Yeah, I don't think it should be a problem. Let's go take a look. Because it is not that usable right now. You might even want a dedicated space for this. But yeah, the tooltips are all pretty large. So I think just shrinking the font size would be enough. It's like they're always blocking some part of the screen you want to see. Yeah, I think we shrink the font size. Let's go take a look at this. Tooltip. Do we have a font size in here? It's not set. All right, I think we just set this to something. Let's set it to 14. I don't know. Let's just try that out. Still some travel time added in. Yeah. I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it, right? Decided to completely change and re-implement a core mechanic. Never claimed to be a smart game dev. What's the change? Do you have a write-up somewhere? I'd like to know more about that. All right, what am I doing? I'm going over to here, and we are checking out the new tooltip. So I don't see a difference here whatsoever. Is this controlling anything, or is it just all bold text, so this is doing nothing? Oh, no, it is doing something. Yeah, honestly, even like a font size of 12 is probably better. And then we just need to change this stuff. Probably this to 12 as well. Yeah, this alone is already a great change. And then we just need to change the title that we have. So where do we do that? Customer portal. There it is. Perk data, get display name. We call that here. And we set the font size to 20. Maybe 16? I just don't want this to look ridiculous. And then we probably need to position this even farther away from the current tooltip, for the current perk. So if you're using the mouse, I think this is reasonable enough. But yeah, using the cursor, the problem is like we're here and we can't see the perks to the right of it to know what the costs are. So we could position it a little bit farther away. We could try to dedicate some portion of the screen to it. I mean, this can be arbitrarily tall though, right? Basic idea is that the double all damage you do on turn 2 is gone, then replaced with enemies have X stamina, lose 1 stamina whenever you parry one of their attacks. At 0, they take 50% more damage. I see. Yeah, these things are always really tough because they seem like they're small, but they have big gameplay implications. And the way I always kind of thought about this is if you had a game, you have an RPG, and you literally just have two stats, attack and defense, and I guess life. And you say, okay, the damage we're going to do is going to be attack minus defense, and we put a max of 0 on that. Like this is pretty simple. It's understandable. And then you just do, life minus equal damage. In this world, like increasing your attack is basically identical to decreasing the enemy's defense. But as soon as you add in pretty much any other mechanic, that's no longer true. Like maybe you have multiple enemies, you can do multiple attacks or something. Maybe you have like life regeneration. Maybe you have critical hits or what, like anything could potentially interact with it, such that now, like increasing your attack could be better than increasing your crit chance or something, or maybe lowering the enemy's defense is better, or we change the formula on this for something, and all of those are different complexity levels and different feelings and different other gameplay mechanics you might open up. Yeah, I think this stuff is difficult. And I always kind of think when you list things out like problem, the player should not use cards on turn 1. Like if that's the real problem, then it's like, all right, you might have a bunch of different solutions. If the real problem is like, I don't know, matches are lasting too long, you might have different solutions for that too. Or I don't know, maybe there's some other problem like cards aren't balanced well enough, or I'm not sure. I'm not trying to say certain things about your game. I'm just saying formulating the correct problem statement is even sometimes difficult. And even with this, I spent an hour trying to figure out how do portals make sense in this game. And I think the answer is they just don't most of the time. So like we're gonna change this entire scene here. There's no reason to have levers here. Like why would you design a video game that has levers that take you out of the game if you don't want people leaving that game? So it's got to be something unintentional. Like this was just an unfinished room and there's a chair, but the chair is secretly a button. and pressing the button makes you leave the world. And yeah, that took some time. It took chat input. All right, well, anyway, yeah, now we have a different problem here. So problem, tooltips cover the price and level of other perks. Making it hard to tell what you can afford. So option 1, change the UI so that there's a dedicated area for the tooltip. Honestly, I think this probably makes the most sense. Option 2 is like position the tooltip farther away from the current selection. Option 3, only show the tooltip when the player stops on a selection for long enough. Or when the player presses a button. This option isn't too bad. This is decent. Like you can navigate between them all, but when you stop for like half a second or a second, it shows you the tooltip. I think that could work. Problems were math was too fiddly, half your hand was dead cards on turn 1 most of the time. If you remove the incentive to wait for turn 2, a player never needs to interact with the blocking mechanic. Wait, couldn't you just add in blocking on turn 1? Because that could be an even simpler way of solving it. The math would get less fiddly. Your hand wouldn't be dead. You would have no reason to act differently on turn 1 than on future turns. You'll always have one selected and want a tooltip. I think you'll always want a tooltip, and yeah, you'll always have one selected, but I don't think you'll need to see it right then. I kind of want to mock this up and just see what it feels like. And thanks to AI, this is trivially easy to do. So let's go take a look at this. I think shrinking the tooltips themselves, though, is also a good idea. I think this text is still pretty large for the game, I'd say. The problem now is the table spacing is a little bit off. We can probably go change that too, though. Form BB code table. There's some function with table in the name. I guess we could just search for a table. Yeah, that's easy. All right, so there's cell padding here. And I want to change that padding, I think. 2222. If I were to set this to 1111, whoops. How does that look? Oh, I see. No, that makes sense. Also, I think you're doing a fine job explaining it. I mean, another way you could potentially formulate this is like killing an enemy on turn 1 makes you take damage or get ouchies or something. All right, what are we doing here? Going over to this. It looks a little bit better. There is, yeah, okay, this is my glasses doing this. There's a different wavelengths of light refract differently, and also where your focal point is. It's why there was a Windows logo on Windows 8. Windows 8, Windows logo. That was just like 4, no wait, was it Windows 8? It was this one, I think. No, maybe it was, huh, that's weird. I remember there being a colorful one. Anyway, this graphic, like the red and the blue would look like they're intersecting, but it's only with glasses on. And yeah, there's an effect right now that's causing this to look like the top padding is different from the bottom, but as I move my head, it's changing. So it is not, it is not a normal thing. Does this look pretty nice? I think this is okay. I want there to be maybe a little bit more space. Unfortunately, I don't know what these padding numbers represent without looking this up. So BB code rich text label. Table, where's padding? Here it is. Image and table, vertical alignment. I don't want that. I just want the padding bits. Where are those? Ah, here it is. Left, top, right, bottom. Okay, so bottom is the last one. What if we set that one to 2? I think then it's definitely going to look off, but it will put a little more spacing between them. Or we could visually separate the selected one. Yeah, the game is going pretty well. I've been making a lot of progress. And yeah, I'm just generally feeling pretty good about everything. We are a little less than a month away from the next playtest. And that's when we'll get a lot of feedback, I hope. Yeah, I think this looks good. It's a little bit too dense, in my opinion. These levels. No, I can't point at them. But anyway, yeah, the levels you see there. 0, 25, 120, 216. What are the dots? The dots are text glitching. It's because they're intersecting glyphs in the font, and Godot doesn't render them well. So I need a different font at some point. I just haven't done that yet. All right, so these are just shrink tooltips, right? Yeah. Shrink tooltip text a bit. The tooltips on perks were just taking up too much space. All right, now we're going to have AI do this next change that I wanted to test out. So perks show their tooltips in the loot boxes. I'll just get the dialogue name. Dialogue is perks dialogue. Perks dialog shows tooltips immediately on selection. Problem is that the tooltip can cover the other perk options, which makes it hard to discern which perks you can afford. Make it so that the tooltips only show after staying on the same perk. After having a perk selected for at least 0.5 seconds. Yeah, let's try that. Literally the hardest part of making a game. I think like, what's the most difficult part of making a game? I think just sticking with it all the way until launch. Maybe that's not fair to say because it's like saying, well, everything is difficult. But yeah, I think that's probably the hardest. I do think game design feels like the hardest part. Yeah, and I think part of why it feels so hard is validating it involves making enough of it a reality to be able to get feedback. You know, Air Hogan. Polish or Polish? It's Polish Day. Yeah, so in my opinion, I think it's game design. And I think, you know, I kind of mentioned this. The games from, let's say, like the 80s were really just one mechanic. It's like, look at a game like Centipede. Well, I guess the early 80s at least, and 70s. That was not what I want to search for, sorry. Sometimes I forget that I have context in my head that Google doesn't know about. Anyway, yeah, there's pretty much one mechanic here. Maybe you could call it two mechanics. But yeah, same thing, like you look up Pac-Man. It's like you ate dots, there were ghosts that chased you, and the second mechanic you could kind of call it is you got these power pellets, and then you can go eat the ghosts. And that was it, right? Like there's not much more to these games. So the game design doc is probably not too crazy. It's not that hard to validate this idea. You don't need a ton of like juice and polish. You couldn't even have it. Most of the early consoles are arcade machines. So yeah, game design was easier. I guess implementing was easier. Actually, I guess pretty much everything was easier. But nowadays, you look at any popular game that's come out, and it's typically more than one mechanic, and you've got achievements and everything else, and validating even the mechanic might take a little bit longer. I think the core gameplay loop of something is still important. But a way that I've heard this phrase before is like now you need 2 gameplay loops or 3 gameplay loops. Hey, Ankocha. Yeah, of course I remember you. Welcome back. And hey, Grizzly. Implementation, I would say, was not easier due to constraints and language you had to write in. But you could still, I think, get a mastery over those. Like I've coded games in assembly before. I made an NES ROM. I made a couple of, well, I didn't make them for Game Boy, but I used Z80 assembly. And like once you got used to doing things, you could be reasonably fast at it. And the artwork, I think, was much simpler. When you look at like a Final Fantasy 1 NES sprite compared to, yeah, so here are the sprites that they had compared to even like SNES Final Fantasy sprite. Even just going from 8-bit to 16-bit, it's like the complexity went up by a lot. Where are the like actual, I guess I didn't type a number. Yeah, here we go. Even something like this. I did not expect it to be that hard to find. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. Hardware constraints, and they didn't have all the tooling we have today. Yeah, some things got easier. It's like if we wanted to make the same kind of game now, I think it'd be a much easier way of doing it. But I don't think that game would be successful anymore. And then you look at games like UFO 50. If they'd made any one of these games and that was it, I don't know if that game could have been successful. Like imagine that this is the game they chose to release, and that's it. It's not UFO 50, it's UFO 1. And I haven't played this game. I don't even know what the rules of this particular game are. But yeah, I don't think this would do well. I think by having 50 games and having some variety and having some presumably some interconnectivity in there. And what is it? Mina the Hollower? Like this you could say is one of those games, but it was taken to an extreme. There's a lot of depth here. There's a lot of love and care put into this. What is it I'm getting? 89%, 88%? Yeah, that's pretty good. You can struggle and solve performance constraints. You cannot solve art fidelity. Different problems, different hosts. Yeah, yeah. And that's, I just think it's like, I guess we just asked the question of how do I validate X, where X is music or art or programming or game design. It's like music, you could kind of just give someone the track and say, do you like this? I guess you might need to validate it against the game as well. Kind of the same thing with art. You could be like, oh yeah, is this coherent? Does this make sense? Can you tell what this is? Yeah, game design, I just feel like you can't give it to an average person and say, is this game fun? You have to make something for them. What is with the influx of questions like this? 9 to 5, you've been in the channel once before. It was like almost 2 years ago, and your question back then was still strange. So yeah, I don't know. You haven't contributed in a like meaningful way to this chat. So yeah, just try to keep an eye on what's appropriate for this. All right, so is this done? Let's just go test this out and see. And maybe half a second doesn't feel. How can you see I came in here 2 years before? Your whole chat history is accessible to the streamer. And yeah, it makes it harder to just randomly troll in channels, I guess. All right, so let's check this out. So yeah, you can select these, and it's not until you wait on this that you can see. I think we should change this a little bit. It is nice to be able to see all the different perks here, but maybe we set this only like half or a quarter of a second even, or make it so that if you hover on any given perk, that it'll cut down the time on, so like I could switch between these perks now and then wait for a bit maybe. I'm not sure. Let's not engage on this topic. Sorry, I'm gonna just purge the original message, and can I even do that? All right, let me just purge the message. All right, yeah. 9 to 5 office worker, just consider this a warning. Like I said, just you've been in the channel a couple times. You know what this is about. You know this is not appreciated. So just cut it out. I haven't even timed you out or anything. All right, there we go. Okay, so yeah, let's set this a little bit lower. Maybe 0.25. Now the problem is we're getting into like accessibility territory here. Will this be enough for everybody? Will this feel bad? So let's go check this out. Yeah, I want it to be just a touch longer. Well, like I said, this is going to feel good for me and not necessarily everybody. Yeah, this isn't bad. I might even lower it a tiny bit more. The other thing we could do is fade them in, and then it would let you know that something is going to appear, but it wouldn't be at full opacity to begin with. So yeah, if we were to just move around rapidly, you won't see tooltips at all. And I guess you could hover over the close button, actually. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. Maybe just when you open this dialog, it just shows you just have the close button selected. Well, that could be a good solution. I think I intentionally had it pick what you had last time. Yeah, I did. Yeah. You could just stop that. Alternatively, you could make it so that the first time you open this, the tooltip doesn't show until like 1 second has passed. There are a couple different ways we can solve this. We could make it so that when you open the dialog, tooltips won't show for at least 1 second. And we could make it so that the close button is selected when you open the dialog. That way no tooltips show. The cost not being there changes alignment. Oh, and you max out a perk? Yeah, I could write that down. That's easy enough to fix. Alignment changes when maxing out a perk. Close button is selected. I think I like this idea. Yeah, I think I like this idea. We currently have this thing, remember your selection. Initially selected perk. And if it's null, do this. Yeah, so let's just delete all this stuff. And just put this here. So now every time you open this up, it'll select the close button. I don't think it'll be obvious to players how you get back to being able to see them. Like this might be frustrating. Let's try this out. So I select the perk, I close this, I open it again, the close button is selected. Yeah, so we can see all the different values. Yeah, I think we just delete all this other code that was added. So we just set this to 0, I guess. Oh, 0 apparently does not work. Oh, wait, what? What? Did I type 0? I did. Why was I waiting like a whole second? Huh, strange. Well, let's set it to 0.01. Maybe that'll do something. I'm going to just delete this code anyway. I'm just testing this for right now. Yeah, that's what I want. All right. So yeah, you pick a perk. You close the dialogue. You come back. You can at least see what you can afford easily. So let's say we have some money here. Let's just do this. So now we go into the dialogue and we can see everything we can afford. And then, yeah, you wouldn't know what they all do. Maybe I want both things. Yeah, maybe I want both things. Maybe we set this to like, yeah, 0.3 and have it fade in instead. All right, so when this times out, what happens? Here it is. If it's not active, return. Otherwise, refresh tooltip. I want this to fade in, I think. We call show. We could call fade in. We need to keep track of... Yeah, we need to keep track of things if we do this. The tween that we use. Hey, yo, how you doing? What's your opinion on Godot and Unity? Have I tried Unity? I have experience. Not sure if I want to continue using it. I used Unity for a total of maybe like, let's say 3 months over the course of, I don't know, 15 years or something. And it always seemed like it was fine as an engine. But then they did all the monetization stuff. And I just thought, well, they've shattered my trust that I might ever have in it. And it's closed source. So even if they had full consumer trust, it's like they need to be improving the engine. They need to not have regressions. If there are regressions, you can't do anything about them, right? Like if there's a crash due to some engine thing, there's only so much you can do to work around it. You might just have to downgrade or wait for an upgrade. Whereas with Godot, worst case scenario, you could fix the entire engine yourself. And actually with AI, it's possible now to do a very targeted change and not have it blow out of control. So, you know, there's a bug that someone in the comments is like, oh, hey, this fixes it for me. And you're like, that's good enough for me. Let's go incorporate that. Don't need to wait for Godot. All right, so we want to fade this in over the course of maybe like 0.25 seconds. But then we would delete the time up here. This is going to constantly just look like it's fading in. This is probably going to feel bad, and it's not coded perfectly anyway. So switching rapidly is going to do some weird things with the opacity, I think. But we can fix that stuff too. I think it's fading in too quickly. Yeah, I think it's fading in too quickly. Where did that fade in go? Here it is. 4 or 5? I always kind of say the same thing about tooling though, which is if it works for you, it works for you. So if you're using Unity and you don't have any major problems, it's like, yeah, stick with Unity, right? And I think where that might cease to be true for some people is when they're making like tons of revenue and now the game engine becomes a cost. Although at that point, you're probably too bought in to do anything about it. Nah, this feels bad. Yeah, it's blocking what you're trying to read, and it's just less readable. So yeah, I don't like this idea. All right, so this is, I think, pretty decent. Yeah, I think this is probably the best idea. Then do we keep this thing about you don't see other tooltips for some amount of time? It just feels like it's a mistake. As in, from the player perspective, it's like, oh, this person just didn't code this correctly. There's some random delay here. So I like this well enough. The combination of these two things makes it so that you can see at a glance, what can I afford? And then when you're swapping between these, you can actually go read their tooltips. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. I think a dedicated area might be better, but I want to use this same structure of UI. So we basically need to put like all the perk buttons over here and then the tooltip here, and the tooltip would have to fit. And that might be a problem because, yeah, that might be a problem. So I think we just check this in. Yeah, I think we just check this in. All right. This is fine. Let's make this private. If it's stopped, then started. So it's false. Stop this. Hide. Okay, that's fine. Why do we keep track of this? Because we don't know if it was stopped because it was complete or because it just hasn't been started. Okay. All right, yeah, that's reasonable enough. So yeah, I think we delete this stuff here. Always grab focus. I'll probably just make that change myself. And then what is this? What is this? Vector 2 got added in? It's not fine with just new being there? I mean, to be fair, I didn't touch this code, so we can just delete that if we want. Although anytime I go to save this, it's going to put that back in, right? Missing type specification. I don't actually care about that. Use preferred style of new expression when created type is not evident. It's not evident from this? I guess because you'd have to know what global position is. Well, I'm not going to think about that for right now. So initial focus, we're going to go delete. Yeah, we're going to go delete this. Which is literally just here. Which is initially selected perk ID. Yeah. Initially selected perk ID, so we delete this from here too. It's going to cause all callers to break. Then delete all of this stuff. And what is this saying here? If the focus is not the close button. Yeah, but we just leave it at that. And now what's this thing? Reach perk button. That's fine. Yeah. You're rolling. And he slipped. I have a height command. And yeah. All right, let's go test this. No overload for now. Oh yeah, I forgot to change this. Last selected perk ID. Okay, this has to be deleted. Get selected perk ID. This was the only place we ever used this. Yeah. So we delete this function. Perk button.perk ID. I wonder if we ever needed that. Do we ever use perk ID now? Well, there we do. But what about .perk ID? No, we don't. So perk button may have that for no reason. It's not really no reason. Now let's try it again. All right, let's see. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this is good. Oh, we don't have footstep sounds. Drat. Ah, man. All right. Gotta add footstep sounds in every single game we ever make. Add footstep sounds. Okay, where is this? Tooltips that show up, cover all of them. Yeah, so let's go change that. It's over here. Improve like perk choosing experience. The problem is that the tooltip for the selected perk would cover the other options in the perks dialog, making it hard to see what you could afford. Now I mitigated this with I'll just say I applied 2 mitigations. One is the close button is now selected whenever you open the dialog. This means no tooltip will be showing it first. And 2 is there's an 0.3 second delay before showing a tooltip for the current selection. All right, commit that. All right, tooltips that show up cover all the costs. We're done with that. Now there's this problem. Can we fix this super easily? We could do a couple of different things. One, when we're maxing a perk, we could just hide a label instead of, or set its opacity to 0. And the second option we could do is just set it so that each button grows downward and isn't centered. Is this responsible for centering it? Yeah, it looks like it. If I set this to begin, oh, no, different kind of centering. All right, so the button itself has what's centered on it, and it's this alignment center. Not anymore. Well, well, maybe we center this and then we put this into its own VBox container. Yeah, VBox container. And then set this to begin. Yes, I think we changed how this looks a little bit. Let me take a picture. This is the after picture. In fact, let's write after on it. And the before picture is... Uh-oh. I think it's this. Before. All right, so how did this change? It didn't meaningfully change. Probably should just put this next to it, right? And not struggle here. All right, is there any difference? Do these line up the same way? Yeah, more or less about this. Yeah, also more or less. I think they're bad. I think everything's the same. The only way they wouldn't be is if that VBox container that I had, which I've now deleted, there we go, had a different separation set. They're both 4, but this one overrode 4. All right, let's try this now. Hey man, I started using Codex for my own project, and since I've opted to make my games without an engine, it's been such a time saver with headaches that come with making anything complex. Do you think it still struggles with understanding the full project, even with access? Yeah, what thinking or reasoning level are you using? Because I just always have mine set to extra high. And there's probably ways I could optimize this, but it hasn't been a problem so far. So if I buy this now, it still shifts because we're centering the entire thing. Fine. Yeah, that's the problem. So we could set this to begin. It's going to delete that padding that we have there. We could just add an H separator to give ourselves that padding again. And then just give this a style that is style box empty. And that's practically identical to what we had. Now this container doesn't need to exist at all. This one, I mean. And then we play that. Oh, I see method, yeah. All right, let's take a look. Nice. Okay, so now it doesn't move. But now there's kind of an awkward amount of space between these. Maybe the max label could be like double the size. Will it ever hide? No, it won't. Why wasn't this a problem in Skeletiller? What did we do there? I guess you just didn't really have another row of stuff until you got to here. Yeah, it just didn't look bad. It looks bad in the new game. I think it's just way too much space. I think that's a problem. Yeah, I think we just have to shrink this. Why can't I shrink this? This is as low as it goes. That means that there's some blank space at the end of this. Oh, there we go. No, I still can't shrink this. Does it have a minimum size? It does. Yeah, something like that. Let's hit refresh. I want more space on the top, but otherwise I think we're looking pretty good. Oh no, why did that happen? No. How did the music come about? Like from starting Skeletiller? I just had the sound turned on. Unless you mean like who made the music? I composed it. Oh, this is now misaligned. What happened here? Its position is still 0. Oh no, it's not misaligned. Oh no, it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is. Did I move this? Huh, it did get moved somehow. I don't understand what's happening. Oh, it's a minimum size thing again. Yuck. I think we just want to center this. Man, I hate centering things. Why don't we just put everything in here inside of a center container? Would that work? And maybe put the whole thing inside of a margin container too. So margins, I want to set this to like 4444. Great. Center container is probably fine as is. And then this just shouldn't really have a size on its own, right? I want to just make this as small as it can possibly be. Something's still wrong. Oh, right. It's the minimum size that we have here. All right. I just deleted it. Is this fine now? No, this is a problem because this is just considered a button and otherwise wouldn't have a size. So I guess we want to set the minimum size to whatever this is, 101 and 160. All right. Did that just take effect in the game already? I don't know. But now there's nothing centering this, right? Oh, that takes up a lot less space. Yeah, it doesn't look so bad. I just want to give him some breathing room now. We could just increase the margin container, right? In fact, increasing the margin container should change this on the fly. So if I set this to 12, 12, 12, 12, 50, 50, 50, 50. I don't think that's working. Because I think this needs to know. Yeah, the button needs to know its own size. Is there another way of doing this? To make it so that the button is sized based on the children that we have here? Like, I want a button to be a container. And I don't think that's a thing. Make a button a container. Place the container node as a child of the button, and I scaled the button height to fit the container using rect min size. Yeah, but then you need to know what the size is, right? What, Jesta? The only time I've heard that word, Moorish, is on Peep Show. Uh-huh. Interesting. And punnet to describe grapes? I have not heard that either. Small box or square basket. Huh. I did not know that was the name for this. Well, now your question makes sense to me. I mean, grapes are like pure sugar, right? I think that answers the question. So yeah, we could have a button alongside a container. I don't know if I want to do this. Yeah, Super Hans, yeah. Yeah. And everyone finds that line hilarious. And I was like, I don't know what that word is. Also, I've heretofore, I think, not met anyone in my life who's ever been like, Peep Show, I love that show. And I've tried showing it to people and they're just like, this is off-putting. I think part of it has to do with the first person filming style. Anyway, I don't think I want to spend the time doing this. I want to just apply a simple solution for now. So I think we just change how we hide this stuff. Like the cost container shouldn't be hidden entirely because it changes the sizing of this. We just set the opacity to nothing. So that's what we're going to do. That's our cheapo way out. And forget about anything else. Cost container, here it is. We presumably call hide on this at some point. Yep, there it is. So it's not visible is maxed. Also, there's no way to unmax it once you've already maxed it. Yeah. So we do cost container dot modulate equals is maxed question mark colors dot transparent, otherwise colors dot white. And there we go. That should do it. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Have you seen Ludwig? It's got David Mitchell in it. Got David Mitchell. And no, what's his name? Robert Webb? Yeah, Robert Webb. Yeah. Wait, so I don't think he's in it. All right, there we go. We did it. Now, I think we just want to shrink this a tiny bit. Yeah, even the focus around this looks like it's a little too large. Oh, it's not bad. Oh, wait, we have a focus and a highlight. We don't need both. Yeah, I'm going to just check this in. So stop changing the size of maxed perk buttons. We now set the opacity to 0 when cost controls, opacity to 0 when you max a perk. That way it doesn't change the overall size of the button. All right, the next thing I want to do is just take a picture of this. There we go. When selecting a perk in the perk dialog, the focus outline is distracting since we already outlined the selected perk. Hide the focus outline. All right, so this is done. Collect up strings to be translated. Get rid of GD print calls. Let's go find those. Yeah, like this does not need to exist. Just delete the whole thing. Actually, how about this? If it's empty, just return, I guess. And then we don't need an. No, let's just do it this way. Cool. Anything else in terms of GD prints here? RGI GD.print. Nothing. And that should be confirmed by just looking at the output over here. Like if I go click this, yeah, it says interactive with treasure stand. None of these other things are doing anything. Yeah, I think we're good. Cool. Yeah, nice. So check this in, get rid of gd.print, commit. Oh, is this done already? Is that all it took? Wow, easy. Go try it. Yeah, that's pretty good. I almost feel like it shouldn't be yellow. It should stand out a little bit more. I don't really care. Yeah, I think it's visible enough. Plus, it's not apparent enough. It's going to be apparent once the tooltip shows up next to it. Yeah. Why did that happen? I think something weird is going on here now. Speed this up. Yeah, it was like it was rainbow selected and had a meter on it. I mean, it was just it fading away. It's probably that. Okay. All right, easy peasy. Oops. Uh-oh. What happened? Yeah, what happened here? It deleted the entire function? What, did I do this? I must have done this. I don't know how I did this though. And what did I even just check in? Diff last commit. What? No, this isn't AI. This is something I messed up somehow. At least I think so. It should be pretty simple to fix though. Undo commit. I don't know what happened. I will say this. Get rid of perk focus style. We already outlined perks, so this was unnecessary. And then I'll just manually delete this again. I don't understand how this diff is coming about. And what is this? What even changed here? I don't even see the... There's a comma? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's going to get added in again. But this stuff, we have 2 interact functions now. There, that should fix it. That's what I meant to do. But I still don't understand. It got moved in the file. How did that happen? Yeah, it's moving. Okay, so this must be some auto format thing. Why though? Why would a function go in between a property and an event? Yeah, that's the part that doesn't add up to me. This is something that Rider's doing automatically. I don't get this at all. And if I try moving this back down, it's just going to put it right back to where it was, right? Yeah, weird. What is it about this? It's not alphabetical order. It's not the type of function. We have another public void function here. Writer's AI readers like that. Do you know what's going on here? I've never seen this before. I've seen it rearrange code, but just never putting a function up at the top like this. What if I call this like interact foo? It doesn't move it. Yeah, I don't think it's a naming thing. Oh wait, no, now it didn't move it. What if I name it interact again? Oh, then it moves. Bar. Testeroni. What is going on? What if I restart the IDE? Yeah, I've just never seen it do this. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know what logic would put exactly one function up here and nothing else. And yeah, maybe it's a naming thing because it's iInteract. Oh, it probably is because this is implemented from an interface. That's just strange though. Yeah, strange. I guess they want you to have the interface functions at the top. Okay. So then every other class that does this must have the same thing, right? Item display. Yeah, it's above ready. And if I type a couple spaces and hit save. Yeah, interesting. I didn't know that. I wonder if this is like common across C# code bases. Well, I'm fine with it as long as it's intentional. And it apparently is. So let's roll this one back and check this one in. Get rid of gd.print. We should probably test this. Even though I manually did this and there's almost no risk of it failing. Because I deleted a print statement, I should still make sure everything works. It's not like we're launching the game yet. We gotta hear the sound. Treasure chest. There we go. Cool. All right, check it in. And then I think the last thing that I've got time to work on is, this is done, is to remove how many items we have in the beginning of the game. No, we shouldn't do balancing right now. Yeah, I think we should just call it. It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes. That's a pretty good amount of time. Let me go find someone to raid. Why is Cakes never streaming when I end my stream? All right, let's go raid good old Clonk. All right, tomorrow should be the last full day of this week. I plan on taking Thursday and Friday off, and we should just do some regular coding. Maybe we'll start the new game tomorrow, but we probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I should probably save it for the next week. But thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your Tuesday, and I'll be back tomorrow. See ya.